And welcome back to Scott's Wing Sports. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, I'm back with my dad today. We are here to do our Colts and Ravens predictions for the season. Let's get into those right now. We'll start with the Indianapolis Colts from my buddy Kurt Esser. First off, the Colts at home against the Houston Texans. I think that's a loss to start the season. I think the Texans are going to be one of the best teams in the AFC this year. So I'm going to go with the Texans on the road over the Colts.
I have to agree with Scott here. I think the Texans are the up-and-coming team. Colts do play tough at home. I think it'll be a close game, but I like the Texans in this one.
Next up, on the road at Lambeau Field against Jordan Love and the Packers. Very tough start to the season for the Colts here. I'm going to take the Packers at home over the Colts.
I hate to agree with Scott again, but I've got to take the Packers at home. Great home team. The Colts are not a great road team. They're 0-2, unfortunately.
Next up, back at home against the Chicago Bears. That is an 0-3 start for the Indianapolis Colts, in my opinion. I think Caleb Williams is going to be an absolute stud. I think he's got a really good team around him. This is probably one of the best positions a rookie's ever been put into. So I'm going to take the Bears on the road over the Colts.
I'm going to actually pick the upset here. I think the Colts go home. They get their first win. They turn Caleb Williams over 3 or 4 times, and they win in a low-scoring battle.
Next up, at home against Pittsburgh. I think here's your first one of the season. The Steelers always lose a game where they're not really expected to. There's always one game where the Steelers never seem to play well up to their competition. I think it's right here. I'll take the Colts to get it done at home over the Steelers.
I actually like the Steelers in this one. I think they're a better overall team, and I like the Steelers to get the win on the road.
Of course. Yeah. Why wouldn't you? Next up on the road at Jacksonville, I think the Jacks are getting on a win streak here. I'll take Indy over Jacksonville at home on the road.
It's a tough early season schedule. I also like the Jags on the road here. I think the Jags are going to have a bounce-back season, so the Colts are now 1-4.
I'll agree, actually, yes. Next up on the road at Tennessee. This is one of the teams I think could be looking at the number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft next year. I'll take the Colts on the road over the Titans.
This is probably the worst team in the NFL, potentially.
And
I think the Colts probably squeak out a close win here and get a win on the road to go 2-4.
Next up at home against the Miami Dolphins. I will take the Dolphins, though, on the road. I think the Dolphins are a much better team than the Colts are right now. I think Tua's going to play well this year because he knows that what happens when they don't win the division in the AFC. So I'll take the Dolphins on the road over the Colts.
Dolphins are not a great road team, but this is going into the Dome. It's weather controlled, so I like the Dolphins in this one as well.
Next up on the road at Houston, again, one of the best teams in the AFC this year. Probably one of the top 4 teams in the AFC this year. I'll take the Texans at home over the Colts.
I agree. I think the Texans sweep the Colts on the season series.
Next up on the road at Minnesota, I will take the Colts in this game. I think with no J.J. McCarthy, I think the Vikings are going to fall apart a little bit this year. I'll take the Colts on the road to get it done against the Vikings.
I think this will be a very competitive game, but I am going to take the Vikings at home on this one. I think they're a better team around. Obviously, they got quarterback issues. I think they're a better overall team.
Next up on at home against Buffalo, I will take the Bills. I think the Bills are a better team right now. So I'll take Josh Allen and the Bills to get it done on the road against the Colts.
I agree. Bills will probably be one of the top 4 teams in the AFC. Give me the Bills.
Next up on the road in New York against the Jets. Again, if Aaron Rodgers stays healthy for this long in the season, I think the Jets should win this game. Sunday Night Football. I will take the Jets at home over the Colts.
It's a rough schedule for the Colts.
It is.
Wow. I agree. I got the Colts losing at New York, provided that Rodgers is healthy. And for me, at this point, the Colts only have 2 wins. Scott has them with 3 wins.
Yeah. Next up, at home against the Detroit Lions.
It even gets worse.
I will take the Lions here on the road. I think Jared Goff's going to play well. I'll take the Lions on the road over the Colts.
I agree. I think, again, Colts play pretty well at home, but you've got a Lions team that's used to playing the Dome. They're going to travel well and win against the Colts.
Next up on the road at New England.
Tough one.
I'm going to take the Patriots at home. I think I think Drake May's going to look good. I liked what I saw last night in preseason. I will take the Patriots at home over the Colts.
And I'm actually going to pick an upset here. I'm going to pick the Colts to win on the road at New England. It feels like New England's making a lot of strange roster moves. I think they're a franchise on the decline. I think Colts get in here and get a win.
Next up on the road at Denver, I will take the Broncos here. I think Bo Nix is going to prove to people why he was a first-round draft pick this year. Sean Payton's still one of the best coaches in the NFL. I will take the Broncos at home over the Colts.
It's a toss-up to me because I don't think the Broncos will be very good, but I do think that the Broncos getting Colts later in the season help the Broncos, so I will take the Broncos as well.
Next up at home against the Tennessee Titans, I will take the Colts to get a win here. I think the Colts are a better team right now than the Titans, so I'll take the Colts at home over the Titans.
I agree. We'll both get them to 4 wins at this point, and I think they will beat the Titans at home.
Next up on the road at the New York Giants, I will take the Colts again. I think this is where they start getting on a win streak. Unfortunately, it's not really going to matter for the season. I'll take the Colts to get it done on the road against the Giants.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Giants could be a dumpster fire this year. I think the Colts get a win anywhere.
Next up at home against the Jags. Neither team's going to have anything to play for here. I think a lot of bench warmers will be playing here. But I'm going to take the Colts at home over the Jags.
I think the Jags actually will have something to play for. I think the Jags will be playing for a wild card spot potentially. And so I think the Colts unfortunately lose this game. And so I get 5 wins. Scott's got them with 6 wins. Not a great season for the Colts. We apologize, Kurt Esther.
Now into the Baltimore Ravens for my buddies Joey Bergen and Steve Bergen, who I'll see tomorrow, unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
Just because the Orioles are playing so well and everything. First off, they go into Kansas City 3 weeks from yesterday, 20 days until the NFL season starts. This will be the first game of the season. As they head into Kansas City to take on the Kansas City Chiefs, that is a loss for me. I think Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs remember what happened last year on opening night. I don't think they let that happen again. I will take the Chiefs at home over the Ravens.
Great first week matchup.
Yep.
The Chiefs tend to play big in big games, so I agree with Scott. I think the Ravens start 0-1.
Next up, home opener for the Ravens as they head into week 2 of the season and they take on the Las Vegas Raiders. This game could be really low scoring. These are 2 really good defenses, but I'm going to trust Lamar Jackson to put up just enough points in this game. I'm going to take the Ravens at home over the Raiders.
I agree. I don't think the Raiders are going to be a particularly good team, especially on the road this year. I think the Ravens actually win this probably by 10 points.
Next up on the road at Dallas, I will take the Ravens. I think the Cowboys are a dumpster fire right now. They're not paying CeeDee Lamb. They're not paying Dak Prescott right now. I think those 2 guys are the 2 most obvious guys to pay out of the 3 of them. I think you let Micah Parsons walk after the season, so I will take the Ravens on the road against the Cowboys.
I'm going to take the Ravens, but only because the Cowboys are a slow starting team. So I think the Ravens will get a win, but I think it'll be competitive.
I think they're a better team too. But
yeah,
we'll see.
Fair enough.
Next up on the at home Sunday Night Football, as they take on Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. I will take the Ravens at home. I think the Bills are going to take a little bit of a step back this year without Stephon Diggs and without Gabe Davis on that team. I will take the Ravens at home over the Bills.
I agree. I think it's going to be a close game, but I do think that the Bills will not be as prolific offensively, and so I think the Ravens get a close win here.
Next up on the road at Cincinnati, I will take the Bengals at home. I think Joe Burrow's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. This should be a fantastic game. I don't know why this game's not Sunday Night Football, but I will take the Bengals at home over the Ravens.
I'm going to agree with Scott again. The Bengals play their inter-conference rivals very, very well. They're at home. I think the Bengals get the win against the Ravens here.
Next up, at home against the Washington Commanders. I will take the Ravens to get a win here, but I think this could be a close game. I think Jay Daniels will be playing very well when Week 6 rolls around. but I don't think the rest of the team's good enough, so I'll take the Ravens at home over the Commanders.
I agree. I think the Commanders will be, bottom to mid-team, and the Ravens will be one of the better teams. So I like the Ravens in this one.
Next up, at home, on the road in Tampa. Short week for the Ravens. I will take in Tampa Monday Night Football. I'm gonna take the Bucs in this game. I think we find a way to win this game. There's always one game where the Bucs win and you're like, really? They actually won this game? And I think this is the one this year. I think this makes the most sense out of the 3 games that would happen like that. So I'll take the Bucs at home over the Ravens.
As much as I'd like to go with the Bucs here, I think the Ravens are just a better team. I think the Ravens get the win on the road.
Next up, on the road at Cleveland. A little bit of a losing streak here. I'll take the Brownies at home over the Ravens.
I think this will be a very close defensively minded game. I think the Ravens get the win at Cleveland, given the Browns' question marks at quarterback.
Next up, at home against Denver. I will take the Ravens at home. I think the Ravens are a very good team, so I think the Ravens at home over the Broncos.
I agree. I think the Broncos, again, at best, they're a mediocre team. I think the Ravens get the win.
Next up, at home against the Cincinnati Bengals. I think they get revenge for earlier in the season. Thursday Night Football on Prime Video. I'll be able to watch this game because I do have Prime Video. I will take the Ravens at home over the Bengals.
I'm going to agree with Scott again. I think, home and away, and especially in this division, really matters. I think the Ravens win a close one against Cincinnati.
Next up, on the road at Pittsburgh. I will take the Steelers at home over the Ravens.
Dang, I keep agreeing with Scott. Again, home and away really matters in these rivalry games. I think the Steelers get the win in a very close game.
Next up, on the road at LA against the Chargers. Monday Night Football. I will take the Ravens in this game. I think John Harbaugh is going to have a good season, but it's not going to be a great season for him.
John or Jim?
John Harbaugh. And I'll take the Chargers. I'll take the Ravens on the road over the Chargers.
All right,
Jim Harbaugh, yeah.
That's right. It's confusing. It's Harbaugh. It's the Harbaugh Bowl right here. So I agree. John Harbaugh is going to be Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah.
And the Ravens get the win against the Chargers on the road. But it'll be a competitive game.
Yeah. No wonder that's Monday Night Football. All right, now I get it. Next up, at home against Philly. Should be a great game. Don't know why this isn't Sunday Night Football. I'll take the Ravens at home over the Eagles.
I'm not sold on the Eagles after the way they finished last season. Plus, there's chemistry issues between their head coach and their quarterback. So I also like the Ravens in this one.
Next up, on the road at the Giants. I will take the Ravens at home on the road against the Giants.
Yeah, as we talked about with the Colts, the Giants are probably going to be a dumpster fire. I also like the Ravens in this one.
Next up, the Pittsburgh Steelers at home. I will take the Ravens. I think the Ravens get back on track here. I'll take the Ravens to get it done at home over the Steelers.
I got to agree again. I think, again, home and away matters. I think the Ravens get the win against the Steelers at home.
Next up, on the road at Houston. I will take the Texans. I think the Texans are a little bit better. This is going to be a Christmas Day game, so I'll be able to watch this game, I think, maybe not. I'll take the Texans at home over the Ravens.
I agree. I think this will be a really good game. It'll be a matchup of two really, really good quarterbacks. But since the Texans are at home, give me the Texans in this one.
The only reason I was questioning if I'll be able to watch that game is if my grandma has Netflix, and I don't know if she does. So I'll take the Texans.
She actually does.
Okay, that's great. I will take final game of the season. Ravens at home against the Browns. I will take the Ravens to avenge that early season loss. I will take the Ravens at home over the Browns.
I agree. I think the Ravens get the sweep against the Browns, and I think I've got them with 3 losses. You've got them with 4 losses.
Yep.
So it's a pretty darn good season for the Ravens.
Probably the second seed in the AFC, second or third seed in the AFC. And that'll do it for this episode of Scott's Speaking Sports. I'll see you guys right back here next week on Scott's Speaking Sports. Still trying to figure out that second team for next week. I'm definitely doing the Packers for my old my friend Coach Peck, and then I'm probably going to do the Bears for my friends the Rochesters, my UCF friends. So that's probably what I'm going to do next week. But things can change, and I'll see you guys right back here next Friday for my final regular season predictions on Scott's Speaking Sports. See you later, guys.
See you guys.